All right, it is 6 p.m. on December 16th, 2025. We'll call to order the special called regular meeting here at Woodford County Public Schools. All members are here and in person, and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and starting us off today, we have a recognition. So I'm going to ask Dr. Rayburn to come up to the front.
Okay, our new recognition protocol, if I can invite the board and Dr. Jones to the middle of the floor, and then I'll give it away to Dr. Rayburn to do the recognition.
All right, good evening, board, and thank you for this opportunity to recognize one of our amazing educators here in Woodford County. When we talk about what it means to be an engineering teacher, Arlene Crabtree is a true engineering teacher, and not just an engineering teacher, but an educator at heart, all realms of that. Just so you know, she was with students all day at work, then had students until 5:30, and then came here to get recognized. Arlene, how many times were you in the building until 1 or 2 in the morning getting kids prepared? Too many times to count. That's the correct answer. Every time that you would drive by and see a light on in this building, when it was here, it was in that part of the building where the shop was, because Ms. Crabtree was with students all of the time. And now at the new high school, you see the same thing as you drive up the extension to the high school. You can look right in her room, the light's on. There's kids working in the shop, because that's the dedication she has to our students here. And that dedication goes far and beyond that for all of the many other things that she does for our district. So this year, Ms. Crabtree and the engineering program were honored with the KETA, which is the Kentucky Engineering Teacher Association Program of the Year Award. And so that's what we're recognizing Ms. Crabtree and all of her hard work for this year. So please give Ms. Crabtree a round of applause.
All right, and up next, our superintendent's remarks. Dr. Jones.
Thank you. Good evening. Get my technology to work. There we go. So for my December report, just wanted to remind you sort of our theme this year is all voices are united in building the next generation of excellence in Woodford County. And wanted to begin by introducing just reminding us about a couple resources for our families and caregivers. We have an incredible partnership with Family Medical Centers and with our Healthy Kids Clinic, and so just wanted to remind all of our families and our staff members about our Healthy Kids Clinic and that it serves our staff members as well as our students. We have a nurse practitioner, And so it's been a wonderful service to my family and so many others. And so your child can get, or our staff members can get, medical attention during the day, during school hours through that service. And a special thank you to our school nurses, because they coordinate all of it and they do an incredible job. So the other thing I wanted to share again is, in the new year, we are starting a book study on the anxious generation. And so that has been posted in Parent Square and also on our socials. And I really want to encourage our caregivers to participate in this book study. I think it's going to be a game changer for you, and it definitely was for me when I read it. Just wanted to give shout outs to our National Board Certified Teachers. New this year are Misha Gearing, and she has earned her National Board Certification in vocal music, early and middle childhood. And then Emily Perkins at Northside, and she has earned hers in physical education. Sarah Potter at Huntertown Elementary, and hers is in literacy, reading, language arts. And then maintaining, which is also a huge feat, we have Sarah Gabehart, and she is social studies, history at the high school. And then Melody Hamilton, who is also at the high school, and hers is maintaining in physical education. Again, I wanted to share some of the themes that I've been hearing in my rounding sessions, in my Hive groups, just reiterating that we've got some systems that we are working on and need to work on. A lot of times these things are in place, but we need to get them documented, or maybe we need to revisit some of those systems. And so we're currently working on documenting our athletics systems, and you'll hear more about that tonight. We're continuing to work on our welcoming and onboarding process, as well as our budget. Those are three that are at the primary focus of our work here in the district. I'm hearing a lot of great feedback around our Hive groups and our strategic plan process that we've been working on, as well as the level of safety in our schools. Our budget committee will meet again this week, and they will be hearing the presentation from our energy assessment. They will also be discussing recommendations for the January budget work session. And then, again, we have our budget tab on the website. And so if you have questions about the budget, you can submit those there, and you can see everything that our budget committee is reviewing and discussing there as well. And then we have a budget work session with our board on January 13th. And we will be looking at the energy assessment as well as the budget committee recommendations. And last, I just wanted to say that my training this month as a new superintendent has focused on finance as well as food service. And I wanted to say that the KASA has done a wonderful job supporting me and supporting our district in this new role of mine. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jones. We'll move on to our good news report, and Ms. Springate, we'll start with you.
Okay, just really briefly, I'm so excited that it is almost Christmas break. I cannot wait. I'm sure that all of the students, families, staff, and teachers are excited about having a nice break too. We did get to attend just a board training session this month, which was nice. And then the KSBA conference was held this month, and there were a ton of really, really good sessions, lots of good information. So just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a safe and happy holiday.
Dr. Gould.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to share, kind of echoing what Sherry had just said, Ms. Springate had just said, that we're all excited about having a little bit of break. I know we've had a lot of school day or snow days, rather, NTI days. I know that that sometimes can be stressful for families. So I'm sure that just having just a little bit of reprieve can be very beneficial for a lot of people. But I think it's important for us to remember the resources that we have in our community, because not everyone has the capacity to meet their basic needs over the break, as you know, especially our kiddos that are relying on our school lunches and that sort of thing. So we do have a lot of backpack programs, and I want to celebrate that and our additional resources that we partner with our community to provide for our students over breaks. So really really excited to have the opportunity to be here tonight and hear about the wonderful things that our district is doing. But I also wanted to give a shout out to our swim and dive team. I ran into some of our students at the local Starbucks as I was picking up my coffee to get me through the evening. And I said, girls, what should I shout out about tonight? And they said, we're members of the swim and dive team, which I knew that already. But they were like, share about us. So I just want to say good luck in your upcoming meet this weekend and congratulations on your success for diving this past week. So, we'll turn it over to you.
Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Chairman. I wanted to give a shout out to the calendar committee. I worked on it representing the board, and especially to Mr. Wells. He did a wonderful job facilitating the entire project, and it was, we shouldn't take for granted when things come to the board that it's, a lot of time and effort goes into everything like this, and Mr. Wells did a tremendous job, and I wish that you all could have seen the interaction of people on that committee, from students, the parents, the teachers. It was wonderful. Mr. Wells, thank you very much.
Yes, I'd like to take a minute just to recognize Dr. Jones and our transportation department. As Dr. Gould mentioned, we've had more snow days than I can remember this early in December, but I appreciate you and the transportation team and all of the folks here at Central Office that are really going out and seeing for yourselves. What do the roads look like? What are, assessing really the safety and keeping in mind what we think is best or what you think is best for everyone that may be traveling. And I appreciate your thoughtfulness and the consideration that goes into whether to use an NTI or a snow day, because those are the NTI days I think are such an excellent resource that we have that we didn't have 15, 20 years ago. And I just appreciate that all the thought that goes into it. And I'm sure those are early mornings, but thank you very much.
I agree. I think you guys were out at like 3:30 one morning, weren't you, looking at the roads? So, yeah, thank you. For me, just really want to say thank you to everybody that's done so much hard work this first semester of the school year. We're getting up to Christmas break, and it just really shows that what kind of community we have, because all the time you see, whether it's downtown events and we have students participating in them, or parades, or anything that we have going on in the community, people come out to support the students when they're active in those. We never need to forget that everybody cares about these students, no matter what your goals are in anything. If you can focus on what's best for these students and these children and the staff that support them, that's what we all need to focus on. And during this time of year, I always like to really remind myself of that. So thank you, everybody, for all the work you put in, and we'll keep going from there. So we now have do we have choir performance? Okay. Gotcha. No problem. All right. Yeah. I will say I did go to the middle school orchestra performance last night, and they did a fantastic job. So I'll sneak that in my good news report. So thank you to the conductors, the teachers that work with those students on orchestra and all the other activities. But yeah, it was fantastic last night. All right. Now I'll turn it over to you for our high school update.
All right, well, I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to share a little bit about what's going on at the high school. A lot of what I'll share with you is kind of what we opened the school year with, some data highlights, but also our big rocks that have grounded us for the work this year. We've been able to add a few things that I'm excited to share as data's come in over the course of the semester. But three big categories I'm going to highlight: academics, some culture data, and then some overall accountability as we are just coming off of being able to share that publicly. But a few things that we kind of opened the year with, when we talk about academics at the high school, we try to be as data-driven as possible and allow that to guide a lot of the work we do. And we're really supported by the curriculum instruction team here in helping us drive a lot of that. So I'm super appreciative of Mr. Asher and his team in helping us dive in and get that true data to make these decisions. And when we look at failures across the school, in the last 2 years, we've had a 54% decrease in overall student failures, and a 55% decrease in failures at the freshman level. And I think it's easy to maybe look at that data and say that we decreased rigor, but I'll talk a lot about some structures we put in place that have actually done the opposite of that. I mean, a lot of this is contributed directly to, I think, our BAR program. I know the middle school in their presentation a couple months ago talked about the impact that it's having there. Ms. Preston was able to get it off the ground at the high school before I was ever even there. I mean, it's really solidified the work. I think we're at the point where every student has gone through the BAR program at the high school, and it just shows in the data. Last year, we had a lot of changes within our AP teaching, but we still saw tremendous strides. We had 67.7% of our average for AP test rate, and that's the second highest in school history. It's the highest since pre-COVID. And then 64.7% of our AP courses had an improved pass rate from the previous year. So we're increasing year after year, but we're increasing across the board as well. And again, that was the highest improvement rate since the 18-19 school year, which is that pre-COVID data as well. It's easy to kind of get lost in that. I know we get a lot of questions about who is actually taking our dual credit classes, and this is one slide I'm most excited about. When we look at our AP and dual credit enrollment, this is broken down by our student population. So you can see the percentage of the students that are enrolled in each of those programs by each of the subgroups that we kind of look at there. So I'll give you a moment to look at that. I wish I had historic data to kind of compare this to. I can only imagine that it's increased over time. But where we are, we're happy to see those kind of numbers, and we're going to continue to focus on increasing each of those enrollments within each of those groups. As we dive into culture, these are two big highlights we hit on to open the school year. A lot of it is focused on our behavior structures that we put in place. When I first got to the high school, we ran the numbers, and what we were seeing is a lot of our students weren't getting to class. That was one of our biggest kind of behavior referrals. And in that time, we've decreased students out of class time, whether that's skipping or just out of area, by 62%. So really, we've been able to focus on what's happening in classes now, getting students to class to be able to focus on what's happening in class. And so we're really excited about that because we know students learn when they're in class. And then 70% of decrease in student physical contact. So when you look at data of student aggression, and a lot of that's kind of our behavior referrals for fighting, the 70% decrease in 2 years. So we're making school safer, we're getting kids in class. And when we look at culture, this kind of dives into attendance. We all know attendance is tied to funding. We want to make a place where students feel like they belong. And so I pulled these numbers to be able to share with you. That data indicates that students are coming to school at a higher rate each and every year. So within our freshmen, and I again contribute BAR to this, we've had over a 2% increase in freshman attendance, and this is just the first 4 months. So it's comparing this school year's data to first 4 months of the previous 3 years as well. But our percentage for all student attendance has increased over 1.5% as well. So really excited. Again, kids are getting to school, kids are getting to class, kids are learning, and that's evident in the things that are happening. Which leads us to accountability. It's hard not to celebrate the great work that our teachers and our students are doing. People ask me how Woodford County is, and the only thing I can say is we have great teachers, we have great students. I couldn't imagine wanting to be anywhere else. And all that leads to what our accountability is showing the state, that we have great teachers, we have great students, we have a great school system. Our math and reading, we scored in the green high range. Social studies, science and writing was very high, the highest score you can get. And we really focused on post-secondary readiness. I think that's something I shared with you last year. It was an area of concern for us. And it's an area I'm really passionate about because when you look at the accountability areas, it's the one thing we can focus on for 4 years. It's not a snapshot of how a student did on a test that day. It's not the factors that they have in their life each and every day that may contribute to graduation rate or being a transient student, it's truly things that we can focus on and help students achieve goals. And we were able to hit 113%. So they built in high demand indicators for that as well, and we were able to get that blue status there. Our graduation rate for the last year was 100%. We're super proud of that. And our quality of school climate was a high rating as well. So that gives us a very high rating, which made us a blue school overall. So it's hard to beat a yellow jacket, but being a blue school makes it just a little sweeter. When we dive into those indicators for accountability testing, I wanted to be able to share these with you. We often look at percentage of proficient and distinguished, and you can see those increase each and every year within each of those categories. But it's not just focusing on those top achievers. While that's where accountability lies, it's really reducing those novices too. So while we can celebrate our students reaching proficient and distinguished status, we're seeing our students leave that novice category as well year after year. So we're excited about that. And then I talked about Mr. Asher being able to provide that kind of data-driven perspective. When we look at our marginal groups and our gap groups as well, we're seeing the exact same thing. So this is kind of looking at our novice percentage within each of those categories: economically disadvantaged, our IEP students, and then our Black, African American, our Hispanic, and our two or more races. And you see the same thing within novice reduction there. So that's something that I can't help but celebrate that our staff is doing. They're not, again, just focusing on those students that are showing up and achieving each and every day. They're really getting into the trenches, looking at how we can provide interventions for students. And you may have heard about that within our HIVE program. We've really focused in on providing a universal screener for our students, identifying those gaps in foundational knowledge and being able to support students so that they can still gain that high school content, but maybe overcome some learning deficits that they've had in the past as well. Any questions about those highlights before we jump into?
I just have a quick question. Is the IEP, is the 504 plans tracked as well?
No, that is strictly our IEP students. All right, so jumping into kind of our big rocks for this year, these are three categories that we focused on. PLC refinement. So I shared with you last year, we kind of shifted some of our PLC work that I'll talk about. And then the other two areas are really growth areas for me as well, getting out of my comfort zone. And that's building a guiding coalition and working on building student voice within the things that we're doing, because we really felt like we were in that place as well. Within our PLC refinement, last school year we moved to a collaboration schedule. We had a lot of autonomy for our PLCs. I mean, at the high school level, we want to protect that because a lot of teachers have so many preps. That's the one thing you get at high school is how do I manage to collaborate with all my PLC partners, but not overwhelm the finite amount of time that I have as well. So we kept that autonomy, but we wanted to build in structure where we come together on a bi-weekly basis as a department and really focus in on the goals that those PLCs set. Last year, again, we left a lot of autonomy to that and kind of naturally discovered some themes within each department. And this year, with, again, help from the curriculum assessment team, we really focused on what those PLCs were focused on with a self-assessment and goal setting. So each of our PLCs did a PLC self-assessment that Mr. Hunley worked with our district PLC guiding coalition on creating, and that helped streamline some work for each of those PLCs. So we, again, come together on a monthly basis. It's bi-weekly meetings, but each PLC only presents on a monthly basis. And we really focus in on what their goals are. So that can be anywhere from database results from their summative assessments and interventions that they're providing within their hives, or portrait of a learner initiatives that they're trying to build in to their curriculum. So we're seeing some really great gains in those targeted and focused areas. I know those our PLCs that are focused on portrait of a learner really led the charge on our showcase night, which we were super excited. That's been kind of uphill battle is getting folks back invested at the high school level from the parent side. As students get older, sometimes we lose our engagement. So building that connection back into school. So we tried to rebrand what we were doing in launching our showcase night and had a great success, a great turnout. I think we had about 30% of our students come out and showcase their learning, and their parents see exactly what they were doing. So I think this focused effort within our PLCs and that goal setting has been a big contributing factor to that success. Ooh. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. All right. And again, I said Big Rock number 2 and Big Rock number 3 are a little bit out of my comfort zone. I tend to be a little bit more focused on that data. I enjoy being able to present those things to you and kind of get in the numbers and tweak those systems and structures. These move a little bit more to that interpersonal side. I'm super appreciative of first our admin team and our leadership team at the high school that's been able to kind of shift over some of that systems work and keep that going, but also the support at central office and Dr. Jones and Mr. Asher and Mr. Hundley that have been able to step up and kind of support me in this work as well. But we really wanted to bring more stakeholders to the table in the decision-making process at the high school. So we have had a leadership team in the past that is our department chairs, and we took this step to add a guiding coalition that can really dive into our comprehensive school improvement plan, help build the structures within that, and then make sure our holistic decision making is centered on that. I think it's helped communication out. It's helped our leadership team focus on kind of the day-to-day decisions and operations, while our guiding coalition can look at bigger perspectives and that continuous improvement cycle. And then the next is even more important than that, and it's building in student voice. We had a lot of structures that we wanted to build on in the past 2 years, and with the leadership turnover that the high school had faced, building in those structures and transitioning to a new building, protecting the traditions of Woodford County High School, but also how do we incorporate that into a new building. And now we're at a place where student voice is so important in building on that foundation that we've renewed. Last year we started some student feedback surveys for AP and dual credits, and our teachers were so hungry to get that data. They were kind of emailing me all summer. We didn't get, I kind of pushed that out late. We'll probably look at doing that here at the semester break to really inform the kind of instruction for our teachers moving forward, because again, I think they're hungry for what their students are saying too. We've started a Principals Advisory Council, which is a team of students from each and every grade level that comes together. We try to do on a monthly basis and focus in on specific themes around high school. We've talked about engagement, we've talked about bullying, we've talked about cell phones. It's been really interesting to get those students' perspectives and hear the ways that we can tweak things at the high school. This last month, we've selected a site-based student rep. Following the lead of the board, we've watched the impact Millie's had this year, and I think all of y'all can attest to that as well. We're excited to have that kind of same representation on our site-based decision-making council moving forward. And then student-driven support programming. So I talked a little bit about Kindness Week briefly. It was a student-led initiative to really address kind of bullying, and specifically cyberbullying within the confines of high school. I think it was really impactful for students to get that perspective. And again, I talked about our Principals Advisory Council that came together and talked about what would be impactful for our students and how we could shape a week that really targeted things that they would be responsive to. We're working on getting sources of strength off the ground. I know that's been a push over the last couple of years, but I think we're ready to finally to the point to get that launched. And then I can't not highlight our Youth Service Center, Student Center groups. Ms. Hundley does an amazing job, and she's actually featured this month in a state level spotlight over the OLMAC group. So I have that on here. And just within that group that I think she launched last year, as soon as she came into the high school, or joined us at the high school. And in that year, we really targeted 15 students that we're at risk for many factors. And we've seen a 74% decrease in behavior referrals, a 77% decrease in absence events, and a 26% decrease in suspensions amongst that group. So again, the group is targeted at males, at-risk males, and it's just huge strides to the point that at the end of the year last year, they were saying, hey, are we doing OMAC again? Can we have this? And we've expanded it to the students in it. She started a grief counseling group. She has a girls group that met over the course of the summer. I was able to attend one of her groups over the course of the summer. We went to the Life Adventure Center and took kids canoeing, and it was just cool to see those students that don't have that opportunity be able to find that opportunity here in our community and connect with other students as well. So those are some of the big initiatives that we have going on at the high school. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, for one, I want to praise you and your team for this focus on student voice. I mean, we have, like you mentioned, we have Millie on as a student representative, which apparently that's not the norm in Kentucky for school boards to have a student representative. And there's actually a state legislator who's trying to push that more for multiple districts. And so the fact that Woodford County does put that emphasis on student voice and that you're continuing that in your team and having all this, that's really important because, you know, it's not just about teaching them everything in class. It's about developing leaders, developing students on how to find your voice and how to get involved. And so I think that's a really important thing that you're doing. So thank you for that.
And thank you too. Just when you were sharing with us the results of the AP and the dual credit, and really a great amount of diversity and representation from all of our students, I'm happy to see that become more broad. Because I think that just points to increased, access for people, and opportunities. So I'm very happy to see that, and congratulations. Please share that with your teachers and all the staff there. Appreciative of
we
that.
will for sure, and I'm excited to be able to track that long term too, and just hopefully see those numbers continue to rise.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I want to say, just looking at the student voice slide here, I appreciate the fact that you're hitting every population of your student success. So, we're looking at maybe higher achieving students with AP and dual credit, and you've got, different opportunities for leadership in multiple areas. And I think that is so important to recognize that skill set from not just your emerging leaders, but pulling other students up to that level of, hey, we see this and we want to give you these opportunities to grow and have that capacity to have leadership, but also find their place in student groups, because I think connection and belonging is so critically important for our students. So I just love that there's multiple ways for your students to get involved, and I think that is so critical, and I appreciate all the things that your staff are doing as well. So congratulations.
I just wanted to thank you for an excellent report. You hit a lot of areas very concisely, and that was very, very well done. I agree with everything the other three have said, and I was going to mention those, but I'm glad you all did. So I'll mention two other things that I thought were very important about your presentation. One was the information about 100% graduation rate. That does not happen everywhere, and that is a testament to our leadership team, our teachers, and everybody. So well done on that. And then the second thing you mentioned is so important, Kindness Week. If there's anything we need in this world right now, it's more kindness. 100%. So I am very, very glad that you all brought that up. And I've learned in life that sometimes when you hear about acts of kindness, it makes you understand you can be a deliverer of kindness. So I hope that worked out for you all. Thank you for a wonderful report.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Next, we have our athletics presentation by Coach Johnson. There we go.
Good evening. Dennis Johnson, I'm the athletic director of the district, and so I'm going to be speaking on all things kind of athletics, kind of going over a few things, and we'll go through a few of these slides. All right, so the first thing is we're going to talk about standards, our systems and goals, our budget, some sponsorship things we're looking to do starting next year, our dashboards, our priorities and scheduling, participation opportunity, and then some partnerships we have that are really amazing in our district. So the first thing I'll say before we start is kind of the standard of what we try to do, and we always use a gold standard, and so the one thing we want to do is we want our environment to always be adequate for our student athletes and our parents, and so I think we run the best game day systems in the state of Kentucky. If you look at from baseball to soccer, the district tournament, you look at some of those things, football, swimming, all these things, we run top-notch events. And so as we go through all these things and start having these meetings, we want to make sure at the end of the day, when somebody comes to Woodford County, our facilities are in great working standing order, bathrooms, the environment that people get a chance to come into is top-notch. So those are definitely top of our priority. The first thing we do is we have stakeholders, and this has really been really good for me as a district athletic director. So it's not very often. We've had, I think, 3 meetings up to this point that you get our superintendent, our principals, the athletic directors, the middle school athletic directors. We get all our bookkeepers, right? We get our district finance persons, and then Gene Kirk, who actually works with us, who has 40 years of experience. And so we all get a chance to get in a room and really talk about all the goods, the bads, things we want to change in our district, and it's been really, really good. And so the ultimate goal as we begin is every year at the beginning of the school year, I have a athletic directors meeting. Then I have a meeting with all the coaches, and so we give every coach a Woodford County handbook. And so as we go about this process, the end goal, one of our end goals is to have a athletic handbook for district-wide. Because at some point we all leave and positions change, and so we want the next person who comes in, any of the position as a coach, as a custodial that plays a part in it, as an assistant coach, as an athletic trainer, to know where all this stuff can be found in one place. And so that's what we're currently working on now. So like I said, the end goal, next year we hope to have a athletic handbook for everybody to be on the same page. Standards and systems. The first thing we want to do is things are changing, right? Things aren't like they were 20 years ago. And so we thought it would be really, really good to give every coach, what does it cost to run an event? And so if you look on this on the paper, during the week, all the things that get gate workers, SROs, game security, custodians, officials, which is a charge that's going up every year. And so we give them a total. And so each coach now knows before, because I let every coach do all their scheduling. I don't do all the scheduling, they do their scheduling. They kind of know how much it's going to cost to run an event, so they know profit, what they need to make in order to keep them having a positive budget. And so we came up with one for every one of our sports. We're currently actually working on the middle school well, so we'll have this all in one combined space in probably the next month. And then we, on the weekend, right, because now we're having to pay, each individual team is having to pay for custodians and other things like that. So we have a weekend with a cost to run a game during a weekday and with a cost to run a game during the weekend. I think that's going to be very, very huge for our coaches. We've in the past had a ton of weekend events, right, which we've been able to athletically, the district, to be able to cover. Some things are changing, and so we need to let our coaches know if you're going to have an event, right, we need to make sure it's worth your while, right? The cost where you want to go into the negative having an event, and like again, we want every kid to have every opportunity, but it has to make sense too, in the sense of financial and budgeting and making sure everybody's account is in the positive. So this is one huge thing we've done for all of our athletes, for all of our coaches, and I think it's going to help them out tremendously with the budget. The next thing we're talked about is one thing we're going to change. You see all the banners, and everybody does a lot of individual sponsorships from our booster clubs. We got some quarterback club, basketball has a club. Everybody has all these different systems in place. So we want to try to bring this into one umbrella. And so we came up, and I went and talked to one of my buddies, the district AD at Scott County. I've talked to my buddy at Spencer County. And so they do some different type things. So we're looking at doing some corporate sponsorships. So I'm going to really, starting next semester and into the summer, really start digging into some of these corporate sponsorships. I think we can get some people. We have some people, high-dollar people that were willing to invest in Woodford County. if you look at our school, our new school now, we signed a Game One deal, and they outfitted our school. We see all the flags and a lot of the banners and all the Woodford County signs and things like that. They run a really, really good job. So one of our big things we want to do with this sponsorship is we want to be able to use, they're going to put a big windscreen at the stadium on the bleachers. And so we think if we can get some sponsorships, some guys, some organizations, some companies to display their logos, I think that can really help us out a lot and really advance, try to do something with our budget, put us in the positive. So those are some big things we're working on, but I think sponsorships at different levels. So we started, if you look at $10,000, $5,000, $3,000 dollar levels, and I think we'll be able to get some great sponsorships to help our athletic budget out, and I think that could be good. But again, the other sponsorships is we got the big jumbotron at the stadium, so when we play games over there, people being able to display their businesses on there as well. And then there's some other type things just beside the old signs, or they have some now electronic roll screens that you can put all different types of companies. So we think that those things can be beneficial for us moving forward in our district. The dashboard is really huge, and this is probably Dr. Jones is really her big thing. She wanted to have someone we could put everything all combined. So policies, right, ticketing, supervision, so all the things, FMX, so everybody, any coach who needed to find anything about our athletic program will be able to come in one place. And it hadn't been like that in the past. And so we jokingly joked about in one of our meetings, Gene's been there for 42 years, I've been there for 8 or 10 years, and so everybody kind of knows what to do, but it hadn't been in one centralized location. So we're really working hard on this dashboard, so anytime anybody has a question, they're able to go right to this and be able to figure out just what they need. So if somebody had to fill in, a teacher or something had to fill in for AD to do maybe game day supervision, they know exactly what to do, how to lock up, how to open up, what needs to be shut down, turning off the lights at the stadium, or turning down the air conditioning so it doesn't run too high, or whatever we need to do. So this dashboard is going to be really, really good because it's going to be in one centralized location on a Google Doc, and you can just go press and play, and you'll know exactly. It'll be really spelled out clearly for you to understand what's going on. So I think this is going to really help us out a ton. One of the big questions before I talk about our priority scheduling is, there was a lot of talk about once we got our new stadium that we weren't going to use Falling Springs, and that is totally not the truth. You can never have enough facilities at any school, right? We could have 10 more gyms, we could have 5 more turf fields, we could have 2 more swimming arenas, and we could always be in use. So that's the first misnomer. I think we will have a great partnership. We work well together, and there's not too many places you can go, probably in the state and the country, where you have such a great working relationship with Falling Springs and the school system. So one of the big questions too is how do we schedule the weight room? How do we schedule the field? How do we schedule the tennis court? So in-season sports always take priority. So whoever's in season, they get facilities uses first. So I had a meeting about a week ago because I knew Falling Springs turf is getting redone, I had a meeting with all our lacrosse folks and our track and field just to get the schedule together, because we want to make sure they're all in season. Everybody needs time to practice, so we want to make sure we got that schedule. Great meeting. We were able to schedule it out through the FMX calendar, which every coach is able to see, but only certain people are able to schedule, just because we don't want anybody going in there taking somebody's practice time out or game time. And so I've tried to do a better job at meeting with all our folks in advance, just so we can make sure it's a smooth transition. Like I said, I know I'm huge on practice as a coach, and everybody's practice is the most important, but we want to make sure everybody gets equal time. And so in-season sports take priority, and then the second step would be off-season guys. Then you get a chance to schedule where you need. For instance, we do spring football, but I know it's lacrosse time, and so they'll get the fields, soccer for the middle school, and so sometimes you got to work together and find a place. And so I think we've done really, really good. Everybody works well together to make sure everybody gets enough time. Like we all want 350 to 550. It's not possible all the time, but I think we've done we've done really, really well. And this FMX is able to let every person in our district, every coach, a custodian, trainer, to be able to see when practices are. So this has been huge for us. Participation and opportunity. I think one of the huge things, and I'll say this for my mom, I think middle school and high school sports are the best in the world. Not every kid's going to go to play college or get a chance to go to the professional ranks, and so we want to give kids a ton of opportunities. And so at the high school, we offer 22 sports that are offered. At the middle school, 14. And so I did some research, and we have to do a Title IX survey every year at the high school. So we have over 700 athletes at the high school who participate. There's over 400 at the middle school, and I got a chance to talk to Ricks a few weeks ago. We had a meeting, and there's over 1,500 people in our county who participate in sports, which is huge. So 65% of students in Woodford County are participating in sports, and you don't get that a lot. And that's why I think that's one great thing about a county, right? We don't draw from 2 or 3 different schools. Everybody's together. But if you, at any moment, you can see a ton of kids from the middle school playing at the new stadium, or the youth playing at Falling Springs, or the youth going over to the old to this field out here, the old grass field. That's my part and joy. I've been there for 10 years to have the practice. So, but we offer a ton of sports. Every 3 years, you have to do a try-on survey from the KHSA to see if they want to offer some more. Some sports on the horizon. It might be boys volleyball, and I think at some point, girls flag football will come into play. I still have to. We do a flag football game. We wasn't able to do it this year just because of girls soccer and volleyball. We're still playing in the district and reading, so I got to make sure I do that before these girls kill me. But I think those are 2 of the sports that in the next coming years might be offered at our high school. And so, but I think 65% participation is a humongous for our district, and the more student athletes we get a chance to participate, I think the better. Partnerships, and this is one of the big things, and I talked about it before. Man, we are blessed to be able to have this facility. We have our high school facility, and we have Falling Springs, and we all work together. And so I'm not going to read all those, but we use the elementary schools, we use this track, we use Falling Springs, right? We use Weissel soccer fields. Golf goes to the country club. We just kind of signed a little agreement to be able to go to Midway until our field gets done. So we're going to be able to use some of Midway's facilities. They've worked well with us. So we have a ton of auxiliary places just beside the new high school we're able to use, and I think we use all of them every single day, and it's been great. It's a great partnership. I talked to one of my buddies, and about 60,000 for a small school, kind of maintenance and the things you need to do. And then one of my buddies in Indianapolis is a big AD, and they're at 250,000 to take care of their facilities. They got 2 or 3 turf fields, 3 or 4 gyms. And so the partnership we have with Falling Springs is phenomenal. They do a good job of helping us out. I think we partner well together. And that's what makes a one county district so good, or one school. We all work together. Most of the kids know each other and able to get around in a close proximity. And so we're excited about that. So these are some of the things we've been working on. I think getting all the systems in place, and so and getting everything in one centralized location for everybody to be able to see is going to be huge for our district. But this is a great thing, I know, for me to be able to learn from everybody else, to get all our minds in one room, to be able to meet and what we don't like, what we do like, and really come to a joint conclusion has been really, really good. So athletics are good in Woodford County, man. We love them. I think the one thing we try to do is raise the bar. We have good coaches, good assistant coaches, good parent support, and so, I love it every single day, and we're going to continue to do the great work. And I think, the best experience is for all these kids to be able to experience playing a sport at least one time, right? It might not be your thing, but I think we offer so many activities and things that kids do. We want to get every kid involved. So with that being said, any questions?
I just really appreciate that we had this presentation. Since I've been on the board, we've never seen one specific about the athletics, and you brought so much good information to us today. I mean, the percentage of student athletes we have. I love that you brought budgetary information, and one of the big things that the board tasked Dr. Jones with when we hired her was wrap your head around every budget, every single system that we have in place. And the fact that you're working with her and you jumped in and you're pulling this information together, I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people do, because you never know. Sometimes you just don't know what's going on in different departments, and with this sport or that sport or this group. And so, thank you very much. We needed to see this, and we have been wanting it for a while. So definitely appreciate it. I think it helps give visibility to a lot of things that we've been wondering about for a while. So yeah.
And Miss Tracy, Mr. Hunley, man, those guys have been really great. So we have a lot of the guys are in the building, so it's been a great partnership.
Absolutely. And you know, not to jump in, but Falling Springs is an amazing partnership, and you're right. Not a lot of places have that. The close relationship and the use of the facilities, the agreements that they have with us, and you know, I love that you promoted that. And yes, we are still going to use Falling Springs. Everybody, nobody's getting rid of Falling Springs. And yeah, so just thank you for bringing that up as well, Mr. Wilson.
Coach Johnson, thank you so much for this report. Excellent report. I was really surprised. I was curious how many of our students participate. I had no idea it was 65%. That's wonderful, because that's part of the education process. That's part of the learning process, being on a team, etc. And something that it's hard to gauge, and I don't know how you would do a report on this, but the community pride we have in our athletics program. I mean, if any of you all were at the Scott County football games to see that pride and see how many people turned out, you know, you go to Kroger and places and you hear people talking about a two-time cross-country champion and things like that. And I think it helps to promote a positive environment, and it helps for the community to understand more about our educational process. It's a win-win.
It is.
And thank you very much for your guidance and for your leadership. I appreciate it.
I'm going to take it down to a parent level. As a parent of a student athlete in Whitford County School Systems, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing this information. I think it is vitally important that it gets into the hands of our parents and caregivers so they have a better understanding of kind of how this whole process works. Because I will say, from a parent lens, and being in the concession stand working or being at the gate, there's lots of conversations that are had about where does this go and how does this factor in and how do we get to go to these big events and where are the pay sources and where is my fundraising dollars going? Is it going to Booster? Is it going to student athletics? And the need for a card reader at the gate so we don't have to do go fan all the time, or at the concession stands. But I just think that this is just very valuable information that will help bring a collective understanding for our athletic parents and caregivers. So I just want to say thank you so much for what you're doing and all the support. When I look at this, and I know that you and I have emailed about, hey, middle school boys basketball, where can we put them? It just speaks to the growing need for these spaces and these facilities. And to echo what you said, Falling Springs is a great partnership that brings up our student athletes. And I think that it's so great that we continue to nurture that in so many different programs, including the quarterback club and the football program and our soccer program and so on and so forth. So I'm just really appreciative of all the work that you have done to bring the collective together. But I think it's, we have great coaches, great facilities, great teamwork. But another thing, as a parent, I think it brings families together so much. The relationships and connections that I have made in this community as a sports parent are so invaluable. And watching my kids grow up and play sports with their peers and just that connection and belonging that they experience and feel as part of a team, I just think it's huge. And so many kids are impacted by it. So thank you so much for facilitating all those things.
Thank you, Coach.
Man, appreciate it.
And no, I was just going to say thank you so much for this presentation. I think, like everyone else said, it's helpful to have everything and just kind of a report out periodically about what's going on kind of throughout the whole district. And I'm excited to learn more about the corporate sponsorships too and how that will work. I think there are things that we can do creatively to help support programs that we already have in place and to develop them. So I love that idea, because we have had, I've even had people reach out to me and say, hey, how about, this kind of a club and something that's, because, with band, I know that there's a band boosters program and all different kinds of things depending on the sport. But I think that looking at creative ways to help support the things that we'd like to do and provide for our kids is the way to go. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and Dr. Rayburn is going to come up with our new high school project update.
over there and give it to Bob. All right, good evening, board. Today, I'm going to share with you the budget that is remaining from the high school project first, so that we can have an understanding. So if you look at the Munis report that you have available to you, which is also uploaded, I ran this as of today. So this is as of today, what's encumbered. So the way Munis reports work, you have your 8019B, which is our new high school project, and then you have our 8023, which is the phase 2. So you can see those two different line items on there because they're two separate BGs and two separate BG products. Yep, just over to Mr. Vlau. Thank you. You can see the first column here is the encumbrances. That is the money that has been with a purchase order that has been paid, set to be paid through a purchase order, but has not left our bank account yet. That is money to contractors when we're in the last 1% of any project. That is the part that takes forever, is to get everybody paid out. And so we have been working through those and working with Trace Creek to get those encumbrances down. But that is the project there. You can see the budgets are there. Remember, a negative is, and revenue is a positive. It's backwards than what you would want to think. And then our month to date and our year to date and quarter to date reports are there. So if you look at the bottom of the page that you have, you can see that all of the combined, so that's the darker blue section at the very, very bottom, you have your total revenue, total expenses, and the grand total. And then you look at this last column down here, the 802 number or 803 number. I think this one is the one from prior. You all have 803 on your paper. That 803 is as of today. So this one was in November. I was going to do November, then I was like, no, I'll just do it for as of today for this one. So 803 is what is left in the project total. So that's everything's already been encumbered. We have $803 left remaining in our project. 803,000, yeah. $803. That's close to that one. Yeah, it's all good. So it's been a long day. But anyways, that is what we are currently sitting at. So part of the discussions that we've had, that I'm not asking for a decision to be made on tonight, so please don't take this as I'm asking for any action items to be presented and to be voted on tonight. We had told you when I first came on that we needed a month to get to just reset and make sure we understand still what was going on. So here's where we are. The first thing is the spring box. You have an email that was sent to Mr. Green from the Conservation District for Woodford County, where they came and looked at the facility, and they were in agreement that that is an appropriate solution to the spring box problem that we're having. Now, the spring has not been a problem. It has not gone above the concrete. It has not impeded any of the bus circle as it is right now. Okay, so that is their opinion, but we wanted a second opinion that was an outside agency to come and look at it, and that is what they said, and that is a common fix for this problem, is that spring box. And they also noted that we shared with them what we were being asked to spend, and they said in that email there that that was an appropriate one from the city engineer that also was talking over them. So you can read that email that as you wish. So that is the first thing. The second thing is the parking situation at the high school. And so we have gone through and received bids for that one. Again, we're going to start over in January to make sure that it is appropriate, because we've kind of drug our feet only because we have wanted to get a good stance on where we were. So that is the additional parking spots at the high school. 121,000 was one of the bids. This one was just over 60,000, and then this one was at 60,000 as well. So just so you are aware of, we have $803,000 to spend. $200,000 could be given to that one, and that would give us, what was left of that. So that's kind of where we are on the project. The plan is in January to come back with the board to make final decisions on how we want to finish this out. so that we can come up with a game plan to get the BG closed. It will take some time to close the BG, but whatever we don't spend can be used on another capital project or a roof repair or whatever we want to on that as well.
Can you remind us about what the estimated cost of the Springbox system?
It was about 75,000. If that's the number that's in the top of my head, but
Okay.
Yeah, 76, 75, yeah.
And just to make sure I'm clear, are you saying that the 200,000 could be the high end, like if we pave, but then the 60,000 range for the parking lot is more of that gravel
no,
compost?
this would be the combining of the two products.
Okay, got you,
projects that you all
okay.
have.
Sorry, I just want to make sure.
No. So like that is not blacktop. When we can quote it out blacktop, we can quote it out however.
No, I just wanted to make sure I was clear about the combined number. The other question I had is what about the HVAC problems that we were having? Where are we seeing with that?
I'm getting to that one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Put a pin in that.
So this is where we are on that. Any questions related to the parking or the Springbox?
I do have a question about the Springbox. Are we talking about maybe moving forward with the Springbox at this point in time? Because I thought we were going to hold and see what we needed to do.
We're gonna come back in January with
Right.
And then
where
move
we are, what we're gonna do, and how
And
we're
at
gonna
that
move
point,
forward.
no, I didn't
Yeah.
mean tonight. I just meant
Yeah.
like the last, I thought we had talked about it, that it was like we were gonna wait and see. That was the tactic we were taking. I didn't know we were gonna make a decision in January about it, because I have a follow-up question if we're gonna make a decision in January to help me think ahead about that. And that is, where do we stand with them taking ownership responsibility, helping with the pay source? Are they still willing to waive those fees that they had discussed if we wait until like, where's our statute of limitation around
So each
that?
organization has reduced their price on fees. Most of them have been the fees that they're gonna be collecting, but it's not a significant
amount?
decrease.
Well, I mean, at least it's something.
Yeah.
Oh,
And like it's really, they're doing something, yes.
but not a lot. Okay. All right, thank you.
So, the biggest thing that we have to be careful of with this Springbox is that it is going to impact the buses. It is gonna impact huge vehicles that are gonna be going over blacktop that is gonna have to be repaired multiple times, because right now it's well set and everything, but if they're putting in that Springbox, they're gonna have to cut that pavement and make those adjustments with that in that pavement. So, and Mr. Green and I have been like, can we mitigate it in a different way without a Springbox, that where we can route the water to the drain? Right now, it is going to the drain, and it dries up in the spring, so it's not actually making it to the pavement like they were concerned about. So it just makes it challenging for mowing
Okay.
in that area. So it's like a wet grass always in that little spot for mowing.
Does that cost include the French drain system that they were also talking about putting in addition to the Springbox?
So that's all inclusive
Okay.
of what they were talking about.
Perfect, thank you.
So that is Springbox, that is the parking. The last thing is just an update for you all. The boiler has not kicked off since November 19th, knock on wood. So we have been able to successfully do a firmware update on our products and get them working and talking and speaking the correct language that it's supposed to speak. There was a box that wasn't checked in the programming side of that one of the programmers were looking at, and they checked the box and it magically works, and we've made it through very cold temperatures this last week and it did not kick off. So we're confident that it is that checkbox, whatever that checkbox was, which is amazing, that a little checkbox, but I know how that works. But you know, one checkbox could set off a whole system. So that has been fixed. We've been going for a month and had no issues. And before, it was every other day.
So nothing needed replaced, no additional installation fees or anything. Just
No,
it was just hardware setting.
Programming, yeah.
Would you share also about how you're having you and Mr. Green and when I can join as well are having those weekly update meetings? Because you've done an excellent job. I just want you to share that.
Yeah, so each week we have pretty much every contractor that has been a part of this this issue with the boiler and issue with the systems not talking have had weekly coordination meetings for the last 2 months. Once we found out that they were happening and started asking and probing more questions. So it's got the architects on there, the Trace Creek's on there, and then all of the contractors, subcontractors that have been a part of the program, project have been on there. And they are literally, they have a line item of everything that they're going through and putting dates on it and who's responsible for it, and stuff's actually getting done, which is really nice. And it's saved a lot of headache. You know, we've had the manufacturer on there for the system that wasn't working, and you know, it just gets all the people in the same spot that doesn't allow them to point fingers at each other, which is what they do when they're not in the same room. So, yeah, and Lisa Slama, my administrative assistant, takes notes of that every week and does a great job keeping track of it and making sure that people actually do what they say they're going to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
So, any
That's
other
good
questions?
news.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to say though, I had to get ESPN to watch number 2 on UK because hometown kid we got to support. So I now watch UK basketball because of Jasper. And then the high school received a blue rating, shutting down for a week, making a massive move, and still was able to be a top-ranked high school. So if you don't remember that, that's what we were doing at this time last year. So congrats to the high school staff.
Thank you. Good call out. All right. And next, Dr. Jones is going to provide us with the strategic vision presentation. And guests.
No one else wants, oh, I'm just kidding. Let me begin by saying how much I have enjoyed this steering committee, the Strategic Visioning Steering Committee. And I have to give a shout out. Now, we call him Mr. Studer, but Mr. Bill Adams that has presented to you all has been so valuable in leading and facilitating the work of the focus groups and the steering committee. And we are so excited to present this draft to you as a board. Someone asked me about it last week, and I was at the chamber doing a conversation, sort of a coffee with administrators and the chamber, and they asked about the vision. I said, I can't talk to you about it till I talk to the board first. So this has the list of our steering committee members, and you can see, I just want to name them because they have been incredible. Joanna Smith, a parent, Silas Hart, representing WEEF in the community, Wade Slama, operations, Dr. Sargent at the high school, Dr. KT Gould, our board member, Miss Rebecca Gooslin, soon to be Dr. Gooslin, from Huntertown Elementary, Mackenzie Durer, represented administrators, school administrators from Southside, Dr. Rayburn, COO, Mr. Ryan Asher, CAO, and then Amy Oates with special ed and also MTSS, and then Heather Varner representing our instructional assistants, Elaine Bailey, who is Mrs. Woodford County. You all know this. So she is everything Woodford County. And then myself. And so we're excited to share the draft with you today. What went into this process was pretty amazing. We started out with 9 focus groups, and then the steering committee said, we feel like we need a little bit more student voice. And so I was able to give them the notes from my student hive meeting, so we're able to bring in those as well into the conversation. So 12 focus groups, student groups, caregivers, community, school board, classified and certified. And then we had 890 survey respondents, which was really great. And then also our steering committee that conducted the data analysis and synthesizing all of that and really articulating what we felt like the vision should look like. So we want to start out with truly, we were so excited about this motto, and the motto that the group really felt like encapsulated everything we had heard from all of our constituents is Woodford County Public Schools, Legacy of Excellence, Future of Opportunity. And what was really neat was Saturday, when the school board came together in the training, the same words were echoed. It gives me chills. The same words were echoed in the commitments that we made that you guys made as a board, really all about that excellence and opportunity. And so it makes me so excited about the future of our schools. The draft mission that we would like for you to consider, Woodford County Public Schools will cultivate portrait-ready learners by offering a safe and engaging environment and by harnessing the dedication of staff and the support of the community. And then our vision. So mission is what we want to accomplish, right? It's why we exist. It's our purpose. And then vision is where we're headed. And so our vision is a unified community where empowered staff and engaged partners guide every student to become a resilient learner, an empathetic communicator, reflective collaborator, creative problem solver, responsible contributor, prepared to positively impact the world. And so again, those are drafts that we're asking the board to consider. So we're very excited about that. And then the pillars that we're recommending 4 pillars that sort of support us accomplishing that mission and that vision. And so I'm going to have Dr. Sargent come up and share the first pillar. And you have this, I don't know if you all know this, you have this, a paper of this. So we're going to start out with our first pillar.
Well, y'all know I love my job and I love working with students, but I also come to you as a taxpayer and a parent. And before I dive into the successful engaged students, when my husband took this job that led him to build the hospital at UK, and we were having to move from a very small town in northern Kentucky, and we didn't know where we were going to move. We didn't know where our kids were going to go to school. When we decided on Woodford, it was not the conversation that I had with my then superintendent or principal, but it was a conversation that I had with a church member who was also a 27-year veteran bus driver. When she found out I was moving to Woodford, her comments to me, Martha, she looked at me, she goes, "Oh, Amber, you're going to love that place. It's top notch." So I say that, what makes a school top notch? What brings it that legacy of excellence? It's absolutely the data Mr. Reed presented. It's absolutely the facilities. And it can be measured many different ways. It is your people. It is your people that reach and instill a reputation of excellence. And that people is littles to big. And so what I love about this pillar is, to me, I can narrow it down. Yes, we have these individual tasks, but it really comes down to 3 virtues: nurturing and empowering and guiding. And as much as it is the adults doing it, it's the students doing it. And that's what I love about that pillar. Because it took what is so dynamic and is leading the state, the portrait of the learner, and it extends it. It extends it to the faculty in a different way. It extends it to the parents and the caregivers, to the systems with it. And when we nurture, we're cultivating belonging. I love that that word was all in there, because that meant, I tell you what, it's why I teach. You show a kid love, you hold them to expectations, rigor, all the things that can be measured in the data, measured in success, measured in reputation. You're connecting learning to the learner, and you're inspiring opportunities and creativity. And so for me, this pillar can often be the sole focus, but it really can't be when you're talking about a legacy of excellence. It's so much more. And so when we commit to utilizing the portrait of a learner to ensure academic excellence, vibrant learning opportunities, and fostering a strong sense of belonging for all students, to me, it goes back to that 2017 when I was sitting at that church function. And Martha looked at me and said, "You are taking your place, your children, the love of your all's family's life, and you're taking it to a good home." Thank you.
And then our second pillar, skilled and committed teams. And I've asked Mr. Slama, Wade Slama, to help me with this one a little bit. But what really came through in terms of when we were talking to focus groups, when we were looking at the data, is that truly, like Dr. Sargent said, what makes us excellent, it really is those skilled and committed teams. And so what I've heard in rounding sessions, what we've heard in the focus groups is truly, these are the ways in this column, this is what we need to be committed, skilled teams in Woodford County. And so truly the whole aim of it is retaining and unifying our staff. The things they've asked for: two-way communication, continuous support, and celebrations of staff success. And you'll see throughout those bullets, you will see those threads. You will also see that really we are wanting to commit over the next 4 years to truly having a first-class mentoring and like hiring, mentoring, and truly investing in training our individuals when they come, when they get hired first thing. And so very excited about that, and I wanted Wade to share a little bit about that.
Sure. Thank you. So to my mind, when we started this whole process, you know, the skilled and committed teams really ties in also to a pillar I'll talk about, here in just a moment, which is stewardship. But if our staff isn't properly trained, we can't expect them to be efficient. We can't expect them to use products properly. Speaking from a custodial standpoint, we just can't get quality results. I mean, they're just not going to be efficient, which is going to cause inefficiency, which is going to cause higher cost. It's going to, just not be good stewards of the budget overall. Likewise, leadership at all levels, like speaking as me as a head custodian, I know that you have admin retreats, you have board retreats, but sometimes us in the middle, other than a Safe Schools video, we don't really have any training, like, to be leaders, And I've got some experience with that, but I'm not a master at it, There's always ways we can grow. So through better leadership, training, that helps us be better steward with our staff time, with our resources, with our overall efficiency. So these are all vital components of the good stewardship mindset. So I think appropriate transparency, communication, all this should help with buy-in too of our staff. Like, if they know we got a problem, they're going to step up and help, most likely. I've seen that firsthand with my department. So just like, for example, as a department head, knowing about our current financial challenges, it's made me be a lot more frugal with my budget, because I know there's not more money. You know what I'm saying? We've got to try to stay in that realm. So that's the mindset I think we need to start moving towards. And I think we do a pretty good job if we know we need to do these things. But it's easy to say, oh, we can leave the lights on. It's just the school. Well, maybe if you turn the light off when you leave the classroom, it's, little things like that can make a big difference. $100 sounds like not much, but when you throw it in a bucket and add a bunch to it, you've got money to use for other things. So, thank you.
And then our next pillar, I've got our very own board member, Dr. Gould, to talk about.
You don't want to kick me off? Okay, oh goodness, okay. So now I'm nervous because it's really hard to follow that great interaction and conversation about this process. So as you all will know, it's hard to look this way because I'm used to looking this way. So as you all will know, that I have been in this community for a very long time. And I think as we look around at our Whitford County community, we are built upon a tradition of excellence and cooperation and support for our students in our schools. I think if you go way back, you can find a tradition of people that are welcoming people that are coming into our community, but as well as building and developing those roots that we already exist. And I think the same thing goes with our community partnerships. We have a longstanding relationship with many community partners. We've discussed some of them tonight that support our students, that support the work that we do in our schools. And I love that this pillar continues to foster those community partnerships as part of this process. But another part, as I've talked about many times, I'm also a parent, so I come from that lens as well, and I was excited to be a part of this process, not only as a board member, but also a parent, from a parent heart. And I think it's really important for us to remember our caregivers in this space, because our parents and guardians, they really support the work that we do in our schools, as well as they have a right to know and build buy-in into the educational process of what's going on. So that together, that collaboration and partnership, when we say community, we're not just talking about community as in the businesses in our community or the people within our community, but we're also talking about the community within our schools and the community within our parents and caregivers as well. So it is a collective group. And so I think that this pillar just really implements that process very, very well. And our community partnerships also, not only from our parent, guardian volunteers that come into our schools, but also from our athletics coaches, to our club leaders, as well as our community partnerships. They really provide a unique ground and footing that we can continue to build upon and grow our educational opportunities for our students. So that communication and partnership is very vital to the work that we do in our school system. And a couple of things I just want to point out that I really wanted to share and elaborate on is the relationship building, the trust within our community. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Jones because I think she's done an amazing job about becoming more transparent with our budget, with what we do, even in our board meetings, because let's face it, they're long. And she's really fostering that sense of open communication with our community partners, with our parents and caregivers, but also our staff and students and educators within our buildings. So I think that building that level of trust is so huge, as well as the partnerships across the home and community focus on student needs and development of portrait-ready students. As it very clearly elaborates in our mission and vision, we want to make sure that our focus is providing for every student learner. And I know that we talk about that a lot as a board, and I think that you guys can absolutely get behind that. And I feel like this pillar absolutely elaborates on the partnerships that we can develop with those open lines of communication and that building of this pillar. I think that's it. You're welcome. I'm never short on words.
You didn't need me. And I wanted, Mr. Slama is also going to come up and talk about stewardship. The original language that was used here was not stewardship. And this group said stewardship really encapsulates what we feel like our board is asking us as a district to do. It's not only running operations, it's really an appreciation and using the resources we have to accomplish something. We're stewarding the mission through those resources and using them efficiently and taking care of things, not just, watching what money we're spending. It is that. It's watching our resources in that way, but it's also taking care of our facilities. It's also, all forms of stewardship. And so he's going to talk specifically about that.
Hello again. So with this pillar, Team Woodford commits to the careful and responsible management of facilities, operations, and processes. Those aren't just words. We didn't just get a small group and make this document. This is actually from feedback from all of our stakeholders, a lot of feedback from students and everybody. So when we talk about stewardship, I'd like to share an example, I guess, of how I use this in my daily day-to-day. So when I took over as the head custodian at the high school, 25% of my operational budget had already been used up by late August before I took over. So I'm looking at this thinking, this might not be a situation of if I'm going to run out of money, it might be when. So I got to do some different things. So what I did first, I took a page out of Dr. Jones's book and was transparent with my staff. I just told them, I said, hey, we're kind of in trouble here. What can we do as a group and collectively? And I'm proud to say that my staff stepped up and they're like, well, I can do this or I can do that. And they came up with lots of ideas, and they've been using less things, but still not sacrificing quality. Because I told them, I said, we do not want to sacrifice what we do for these kids every day. A clean school is, to me, the foundation of everything. Starts with cleanliness, security, and then you go to the classroom. That's the thing you see first is the building, not your teacher necessarily. So when I included them in this process, the suggestions they made and stuff, and I've heard from other head custodians, one of the things I did was something as simple as changing the type of toilet paper. Like, I found larger rolls, more rolls per box, cheaper per box. So I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer. So we started using that, and I got feedback from my staff. I said, hey, how is this working? Is this working? Is it not working? Because we don't want to use something that's costs less, but we use 3 times as fast. That doesn't solve anything. So, then we also reduce the cost of just by a few bucks, but a few bucks can add up, of the paper towels we use. You know, so and how often they change their stuff, their soap, their toilet paper, their paper towels. You know, I've seen custodians. I've been in this district 13 years. I've been at elementary, I've been at Safe Harbor, I've been at the high school level, and I've seen custodians, there'll be that much left on a roll, and they'll change it. And like, why? Well, it's easier. Well, easy isn't always the best. You know, we've got to do better. And so that's kind of what encapsulated all this in these conversations of stewardship. So later on, after we did all this, you know, by placing smaller orders and saving some money, when Dr. Rayburn took over as the Chief Operations Officer, I reached out to him. I said, we need to have some communication here and maybe some tough conversations. And, you know, I wish I could go in there and say everything was wonderful, but we had a good conversation. I felt good at the end of our talk. You know, he understood my challenges, he supported where he could, and was very direct and honest about expectations and what we can do. And so now we have a plan in place that we can address whatever happens, no matter what that is. So, thank you.
And so you can see when the document comes together that we're proposing that it really does have those 4 pillars that really support the work of the proposed mission and vision. And so we want to see if you have questions for us.
I just would like to say I loved hearing from each of the groups, and I especially liked hearing about how important it is when you include others, when you're transparent and you say, hey guys, we got a problem. People have solutions potentially if they know about it and if they're asked. I think that's excellent. So I just appreciate hearing from a diverse group of people, a subset of a larger diverse group of people that have really come together quickly to put some ideas down on paper. And we've needed this, so thank you.
I'll throw one other thing. I meant to say this earlier. I'm gonna use a word that is commonly not used with meetings. Joy. I'm not kidding you. And if you look around, we have people here who simply were dynamic contributors, and yet they just wanted to see this in action because it genuinely was, you looked up and it was 2 hours later. And what we had been talking about was how much and what we love, our areas of strength, our areas of need. How do we turn this into this document that we hope it has to get laminated because you're pulling it out so many times in every single conversation. But truly, I don't know, like all of us would walk away and be like, okay, that was like, there was joy in that discussion about what makes Woodford, Woodford.
I love that. No, and thank you for doing all the work that you did. I mean, I think you said almost 900 surveys you guys got data from and compiled that and utilized that for this. That's a lot of work. And so I just want to acknowledge how much time and effort you all and everybody else that was on there put into this, and it's so appreciated. And this is fantastic. I love the words that you came up with. I love the definitions. You know, you talked about training, and you're absolutely right. You can get educated in, you know, you can get a degree in something, but that's your foundation, and training is your refinement, and that is so important in every aspect of your job and everything else you guys shared. So yeah, thank you very much.
I just wanted to say I'm absolutely amazed by the speed in which this has happened. It seems like it was a couple of months ago we were approving the contract to get this started. And these things usually drag on because this is usually kind of the bottom of the list. And not only did you all of you do a fantastic job, I am amazed at how fast this came together, and thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, like, really very thankful. I think this process has been overdue by about 4 years, and it's so nice to finally have just a foundation, just a shared understanding, just we need to do better, and we need to do better if we want better. And so I'm very, very thankful to all of you all. Thank you.
You're going to make that suggestion.
I just wanted to echo something that was just said about the fostering engagement and share responsibility for student success, which is part of the pillar that I spoke to you. I think the survey responses and the number of people that were engaged in this process really reflects that shared responsibility that we all feel as a community. And I want to brag on your staff. because I think school very much represents a community, obviously, but the custodial staff in the role, and I was actually going to do a shout out today. I got lost in my own thoughts and I forgot to go there. So I'm glad you're here. So I'm going to take this opportunity. But the role that our custodians play in developing those relationships and that interpersonal connection to our students is huge. I see Mr. Allen at the middle school. Mr. Allen, is that his name? There's a high school, okay. But he's at the middle school outside directing traffic. I was confused because you were looking at me like maybe I was wrong. I was like, directing traffic and just the connection and engagement that he has with his students. Mr. Aaron at Huntertown, like I could just name several of them. And they just, I think that embracing of everybody has a role in supporting our students is such the epitome of our community partners. So.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. And Dr. Jones, what we were just saying, Mr. Wilson and I, like Dr. Sargent recommended, if we could get laminated copies of this at our places, because then when we're talking in the meeting and making decisions, like, because what we're talking about support, this will inform everything that we do.
And eventually our board, we want to report to the board regularly on these areas so that you all can see the progress toward them. And we'll have measures, so the group is working on those measures as well and the goals. But we wanted to make sure that you all in January are feeling good about these pillars, so.
Perfect. Thank you. All right.
Is yours still plugged in?
It is. But I've turned it off, so yours should work. Maybe not.
There we go.
All right. So we're moving to curriculum and instruction update with Mr. Asher.
You guys have gotten a lot of information. We're already an hour and a half in. I'm going to be relatively brief. Part of the reason is I know, and I've seen on the approval of meetings, that we'll have our data meeting in February, shortly after we come back. But not so much getting into the numbers, more so just some qualitative things that are based on numbers. These were the posts that were made, and I'm sorry, I'm speaking of our accountability platform or assessments, I should say, KSA. And these were the posts that were done back in November when they were released. So just a couple highlights here. Want to acknowledge both Huntertown and Southside for maintaining their green status, and I'll show you the meters here in just a little bit and how they resulted in that. But also want to point out Northside and Simmons. One specific area, and Mr. Reed had mentioned this, is focusing on our low socioeconomic students, and they had some significant reduction, novice reduction, which has been a goal in that area. As we move on to secondary, congratulations to our middle school for moving up to the green status. And again, I'll show you the meters here in just a little bit. And as Mr. Reed talked about, a lot that went into the blue yellow jacket there and getting to that status. How did they get there? This is what I'm referring to. While there certainly are growth areas, and I'll dig into those more at our data meeting and what we've been working on for that. Here is an example, and again, these are just visuals, but these are the indicators. What we can say and what we're proud of is that we are green or above in the core content areas when you look at reading and math, science, social studies, and combined writing. And then the great progress that is high school only in regard to graduation rate and post-secondary readiness that Mr. Reed alluded to earlier. So where we go from here, as we always preach, a continuous improvement process, planning, I should say. So we don't wait till November, December to plan. We come into the school year with your Big Rock Action Plan, knowing the data that you had back in the spring, using our universal screener, behavior, whatever it may be. But then you've got to combine in the new results. The unfortunate thing with our system is you take that test in May, you got to wait all the way till November. So it's just in a time for adjustment. So what we've been doing over those past couple of months, we do data analysis and action planning. We don't throw out the baby with the bathwater as far as their Big Rock Action Plans. You just make adjustments through MTSS, through our admin leadership, and then even down to school level SPS, which stands for Systematic Problem Solving. So if there is a glaring issue, we had a meeting just yesterday on the NCI Day to do just that, to get folks around the table and try to systematically problem solve. And so then what the adjustments we make then come out as our C-SIPs at the school level and C-DIPs. So those will be brought to you in January. Full transparency on the CDIP, and Dr. Jones can attest to this, we've got different plans going on, and I'm trying to make sure that they merge and complement each other. So I've really delayed the CDIP process till we could see the strategic plan, till I've mentioned before that we have our portrait plan. We want all those things to merge and complement each other so we don't have 5 different plans going on. So I will bring you the update in January. So that concludes this part of the update. I know there may be some questions about the accelerated coursework plan, but any questions about our status at this point?
No? Thank you.
Okay. While I'm up here, were there any follow-up? I know we had good dialogue via email today in regard to that accelerated coursework plan. Advanced coursework, I should say.
Do you want me to talk about it now, or are you going to wait?
We can wait.
I mean, I just wanted to get permission.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We can talk about it now.
Okay.
And it'll just serve as our discussion later.
Well, I just wanted, and I appreciate so much the dialogue that we did have today back and forth about the changes to the plan. And what we're basically talking about is there's been some changes in the KRS that necessitate an adaptation of our accelerated plan to meet those needs. And part of that is centered around all learners. And then with a subsection out that looks at gifted and talented. So there's 2 different learners that we're talking about here that is overlapped, of course, as well. So when you scroll down,
Here,
I was going to go to the
actual plan.
actual plan, sorry. But it's okay. We could go whatever. So this is the adaptation, the new plan that we're talking about today. And one of the things that I had some questions about is when we look at GT services that are offered in the district, and of course there's, and Mr. Asher, please correct me anytime that I'm off track. When we look at GT services in our district, as well as accelerated learner services that we can maybe have for all learners, which is part of the KRS that passed in 2025, or 2025. The gifted and talented identifiers include more than what's incorporated in here. So we have core subjects with social studies, language arts, mathematics, and science, but it also includes general intellectual intelligence, the arts, as well as leadership. And those things are not addressed in this plan. So I was just wondering if those could, the dialogue was about including those, but also in relation to the pillars that we just talked about, looking at advancing communication about what this plan looks like. And so as we are incorporating the accessibility of all learners, I think it's also, even though we have in our GT policy and procedures that there should be communication to parents and caregivers around what their plan looks like for their child, we also need to offer the same accessibility to communication by adding that into this plan, as well as what I'm proposing, that any person that is getting accelerated services, any student that's getting accelerated services, also has communication with their parent and guardian to be able to notify them of what those services may look like for their student. So if we scroll down, there is, or scroll up, I'm sorry, up and down. So there's, it shows you the different areas on the plan, that the subject areas, and then what some of the corresponding interventions could look like, the strategies and approaches. Again, I'm asking to add some additional subject areas there to mirror our gifted and talented plan, or options. But then if you go down to B, it also says the gifted and talented should have those services provided, but also another component of service delivery. So so it is parallel in the sense that we are talking about accelerated learners, and also a little bit about gifted and talented as part of this process too. So just having that language about communication would really solidify bringing in parents and caregivers into that process and helping them understand what services that their students having. It was a very long-winded way of getting around it, but we had some great dialogue about that earlier, just to catch you all up to speed. But that does require a vote to amend that process.
Mr. Asher, do you have anything?
I just want to follow up, and Mr. Reed showed the data again. A lot of what this is geared toward, and that's why I dug deeper and sent that last email, was accelerated opportunities for all.
Yes.
And the data that he shared, and that we talked about our minority populations, how high we have in both AP and dual credit. So regardless, it's good to know that the plan is working. So.
Absolutely.
But no, as I dug deeper too, that number 3 said more systematic communication or something about it, so I could see addressing that here. Uniform and systematic communication, I think is what it said.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you're asking for is just actually in the policy, in the wording, that there is a plan for parents essentially to know exactly what's going on with their students that are in this accelerated track, that they know what the schedule is. When is my child going to get pulled out? Why are they getting pulled out for these other types of topics, and what that looks like. So, I mean, that makes sense to me.
And I just didn't want to confuse matters when it comes to strictly gifted and talented, because there's a 13-page procedure of how that's done. And so I didn't want to get this too heavy. While this is related to gifted and talented, it is more about all students and advanced opportunities for all.
Let me ask a quick question. So if we did not approve this tonight and we went back and had the additional information added and just began again and did a first reading and then a second reading, is that going to cause issues? Because I didn't know if there was a timeline that this needed to be approved by.
I don't know.
I thought it said December 1st,
It
by
did,
December
it
the
did.
1st, yeah.
It did, but
So I don't know if there'd be an issue.
Because it's already passed.
there would not. Nobody's been knocking on my door for it yet, but
I just wanted to double check because I didn't want to cause any.
I don't know that you would have to do yet another first and second. It would just be an addition made. It's not as though we'd be starting from scratch. We would just make that addition. So to me, it'd almost be a third reading if you had to bring it forth again.
And I really think that the importance of parent and caregiver communication, I mean, I've spoken about that quite a bit, but also as we're looking at this being accessibility for all, that it mirrors the gifted and talented process in that sense of being able to identify leadership, arts, and general intellectual intelligence. Maybe that doesn't need to be in there, but I know that it's part of the KDE standards as far as those services go. But I do think that the leadership skills and fostering that is incredibly important. And kind of to go back to what Mr. Reed's presentation was about today is, you know, making sure that students don't get looked over for leadership opportunities just because they are not identified as gifted and talented in leadership. And I think that having those other designations, including the arts in that sense, will really foster that bridge to being able to identify all learners that may fit those needs and those categories.
So I think when we get to it, when we actually vote on that, I think we can still vote to approve the second reading contingent on changes that will be presented at the January meeting.
That's fine.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, works for me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment to the superintendent, please? Each and every one of these presentations tonight have been excellent. And the quality of the information that they share with us is wonderful. And all of this takes time. And I just wanted, if you would pass that on, how much we appreciate the effort, because we have seen presentations that were not very informative, not this year, but in the past, and they just did such a wonderful job. And it helps us to be better board members. So thank them for that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right, do we have any public comment? No? All right. Oh, you do? Will you want to, okay. Go ahead and speak, and then after that, will you sign the thing over there? Do you want to come up and speak? Okay.
Push your button.
I'm Larry Blackford. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity tonight to speak. Congratulations, Dr. Jones, on you being the new superintendent for Woodford County, and to the school board. I want to speak to you all tonight something from my spirit and out of truth and out of love, or truth of being authentic. I've graduated from here in Woodford County, spent 2 years teaching in Woodford County at Simmons Elementary. From here, I went to Sarah School for 3 years, Liberty Baptist University in Lynchburg, Virginia, where Jerry Falwell was the chancellor and founder of Thomas Road Baptist Church and Liberty Baptist University. And from there, I came home and spent 1 year at Frankfort Independent School System and spent 17 years retired out of Fayette County Schools. And I tell you that because it's such a diverse experience of me having, God give me the opportunity to be at those different places and enjoy being in those places. And I still got some concerns with County Schools. I know you had a good presentation tonight. I don't want to bring a damper on nothing, but I have to be real and authentic because I've always been a retired school teacher. I've always had an interest in our kids excelling, getting the best out of them, all kids. That's what education is. I think I was kind of naive when I went to education, thinking all administrators and teachers was one of all kids, was excited about having a diverse group of kids to work together and helping to accomplish stuff. And so, but I was approached by Assistant Superintendent Brim and Dana Bradley years ago when Wolf County was having some trouble with some kids in the school, African-American young men who was having trouble feeling comfortable in the school system. Things was happening, and they asked me to come and start meeting with some kids. And so I was honored they did that, asked me to do that. I mean, hey, I appreciate that. You got problems, you reach out to somebody to get some help. And not everybody do that. But anyway, so I came into school, started a program, and it was accepted by Site-Based Council, and it was called BEAM, Brilliantly Educated, Motivated Men. And we would have I would have a lot of people come in and speak to the kids. We met at a certain time, and we had some retired school some teachers who was in professional college, and educators come and talk to the kids. We had some graduates, doctors from Woodford County, lawyers with the county, and this sports, a variety of people. And that program really going good. And it really, and kids, anytime you have, our kids have an opportunity to see somebody like them in the building, if they're having trouble, it reduces their behavior and raises their academics. Bottom line, that's just it. They got to see somebody like them that can keep pouring into them daily, and they know that they're saying some things to them that helps them to navigate through the school. And that went well for a while. All of a sudden, it just shut down. Don't know why. And I say that because, to me, me taking my time and me, for a couple of friends coming up and doing something like that was valuable to the school, to the kids. It also just fell out. It happened in the middle school also. And so it seemed to be just a regular thing of not being able to keep something going, sustainability to helping our kids. That's and I know other programs in the middle school, they keep going, they're growing. But every time you go over, you got a different group of kids, you're over here, you're over there, it's nothing within that continuity to it. So it's kind of, it's kind of disturbing, especially when you can make a difference in kids' lives, but you're not given an opportunity to do that. So anytime you have, I know that our kids need somebody in the room, in the building, look like them, whether it be administrators, teachers, whatever, because it does enhance bring the academics up, like I said, reduce their behaviors, but also help them to become more developed emotionally and psychologically, to feel that you have a place in a building, that you can look at somebody that's pouring into you. It makes a big difference, And so I just know that the whole lot of time, the school climate was not what it needed to be for our kids to be successful. That's why they're having so many troubles, problems in school. And there have been some things, I'm not going into detail, I don't want to do that, but there's some things that happen in the school that are really, really painful and hurtful to our kids. I'm going to be nice and just be decent, but it's some painful things. But I'd like to share that with you sometime so you would know, because it was some terrible things happened, and it was not handled well. And so what I'm looking at, these things continue to happen, and nothing ever changes. I don't know if there's no interest in really trying to reach out to the African American community to really try to help our kids to work together some kind of way to fix these problems. I don't know what the problem is. I don't think we have ever had a superintendent that's reached out to the black community. Have not reached. I don't know if just don't think they have an interest, or don't think it's a problem, or they're afraid, don't know how to deal with it. I don't know. But we as educators, as leaders, have to do that. I think what leaders are, I did a lot of coaching. A leader was a kid who was my point guard on the team. Point guard leading everybody else on the team. But the face for the point guard was the head coach. Developing that point guard to lead the team. Because you can't play, but you can coach, but you can put it in the point guard to lead the team. Principals are faces of the school building. Teachers are the faces in the classroom. Superintendent is the face of the school board, and everything goes in the school system. That's the way it is. That's its leadership. You all are faces in the community. And so whatever happens, it really falls on us as leaders in the community. And I take leadership serious because I know it can either make or break a situation or what you're trying to do. And it's tough being a leader, but you just got to know what's the right thing to do, and you got to do it. And just go about doing it and just knowing that you're doing the right thing to make things better. That's what the leadership is. But when you don't do it, when you don't have any interest in those problems, or you don't reach out to people you need to get help from, then I don't know where it is. I'm not like that. I don't know what you're thinking. And I can't say what you're thinking, you know. But I know it doesn't help the situation, okay? So those are some of my concerns, because I know diversity matters. It matters. It matters. Diversity matters. I love diversity. I love people from all walks of life, you know. It's just who I am. That's why I was raised, and I thank God I was raised that way, you know. I don't think it's a person I cannot relate to. Give me some time with you. I don't think it's a person I can relate to. I'm not afraid of dealing with tough situation conversations. I'm comfortable, you know. And it doesn't frustrate me that other people don't. Everybody don't have to be like me. Everybody don't have the same background of experience I've had. But I do think when you're in certain positions, especially in education, you need to be able to communicate and be able to have a tough conversation and getting the school system to where it makes everybody feel comfortable. You know, it's easy to take just a certain amount of kids in the school system, which we get a lot of scholarships. We got a lot of kids successful academically. But what about those kids who are not doing that? All kids in school are not going to be athletes. All of them not going to dribble the ball or run a football. There's a whole lot of kids that you know, those kind of kids feel good in school. Everybody knowing the pat them on the back, da. But what about the other kids who need a little bit more pushing, show them how to be leaders, make them feel comfortable, bring out the best in them. And you have to have people who can pull out the best in those kids in the school to be successful. But one other thing, I saw you on your mission thing, you said, I was wondering how you going to reach out to the African American community? How you go about doing that? And who speaks to you all about the African American community concerning our kids? You know, we keep having all these groups and people on committees. Are there any African Americans on these committees? Maybe, I don't know, but you know what I mean? That's good, you know. But hope they can give you the input they really need, you know. I mean, that you need to really be successful and help these kids. So that's my concern. But I do want to share with you some things that happened, just you all personally, that I want you to really know why I'm speaking tonight, because it was some things that really need some attention or be handled differently, you know. So, but thank you very much, and you all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Right. Thank you very much for sharing. And it absolutely means a lot that you came to speak to us and share that, and that's not going to go unheard, so thank you. All right. Well, we are going to move on. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve, accept notification of personnel matters?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November board meetings?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to accept notification of payment of bills?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson.
Second.
Second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve November financial report, treasurer's report?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson. I will second that and open it for discussion or presentation by Dr. Rayburn.
Try to give everybody a chance.
All right, so tonight's presentation, I do want to acknowledge that there was a mistake on my end. It wasn't uploaded correctly, so I do apologize for that. You will have this presentation along with the financials. They are uploaded now so that you can review those. And my presentation is beyond just the reports, so just know that if you see something that comes up, please reach out to me, email me. Our financial consultant, Mr. Patrick, and I are actively working together with Dr. Jones on keeping things moving and keeping things afloat as we are in this interim time frame that we are actively seeking a new finance director. I also want to say that when I mentioned the 803, I had that backwards. That was the true November 30th date that you all saw. Okay, so at the encumbrance on the high school project for November was 803,000. The 802 is what was pulled forward today. So I just wanted to see if there was anything that happened in the last little bit. There wasn't. So I do apologize for getting those two numbers flipped around. So for the financial reports today, our financial updates, you'll see that I put the October one there so that you can see that we had about $1 million in our revenue for the month of October, and then we had expended about $3 million in October. I left that in there because I wanted you to see the difference in November. So November, like I mentioned in my November report, that for October, those weren't accounted for. The tax credits weren't accounted for, the tax payments. They are accounted for now because November has passed. So you'll see that our month to date was 15 million and our expenditures were down, were $2 million. And so I have reached out to other finance directors in the state around the area and just trying to collaborate with them on how they present their information to the board to kind of understand what their presentations were. So this is just kind of a little bit of a financial spreadsheet that was shared by one of the districts around us that has a great finance director that I know, and she shared her presentations with me, and I thought I would use this format for you all so that you can kind of see. So the first column is what we budgeted for, the second column is what we've spent year to date, and then percentages of our budget that was spent based on what we budgeted for in 26 versus 25. And you can see that in 25, we had 72% more because we had more revenue received in November than what we received this year. So there is a difference there. And then we are actually spending less money. And if we were lucky enough to be at the end of the year, we would have a $5,000 contingency budget. So 5 million, good grief. These little zeros keep getting in my way tonight. 5 million, this does exclude all the on behalf payments because we don't, those are just in and outs that we have no control over. So just know that you'll see those line items in the budget under the 3,900 mark, but you will not see them represented in these budgets because we don't do anything with those. Here's a little graph for you for year over year expenditures that we have done. And you can see that we are correcting. That's where we're currently at. We're correcting some things. We've stopped a lot of stuff. We've corrected a lot of things, and you can see that we went from we're going over to now we're at in November. If you look at this column right here in November, this is our current year. The darker blue is the current year. The lighter blue is the previous year. So we are doing our absolute best to stop it. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We are line iteming every single thing we do. And Dr. Jones and I spend so much time on line items because we really want to stop what we can to not get us further down the road and be like, I wish we had taken the time to do it then. So please know that we are actively stopping the bleeding as much as possible. We can't do certain things, but we are taking the time every time we can, and it is showing. Even from energy usage in this building, we're going significantly down, which is what you'll see in January when we have our budget meeting, that our building usage energy cost for this building alone is decreasing by thousands of dollars a month. by energy of things that we're trying to accomplish. So when we are working overtime, we are really saying we're working overtime, and I just wanted to show that in a graph form, that is where we are.
Thank you both for doing that. That's a lot of
Yeah,
work.
it's not just us, but like
Well,
that is
thank you
literally-
both and your
it
teams.
takes
Yes,
it's
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
the whole district. Like every
Absolutely.
admin meeting, they don't like me anymore. So
Well, thank you
It's-
for
it's okay.
thank everybody
yeah.
for putting that work in, because it has a big impact, obviously.
So here are your property taxes, the tax collections by area that you would see on your budget reports, kind of broken down to there. So when if you wanted to know how much we received in November for each one, this is the line item here. So I've just taken that line item and put it into a graph here. I had one of my staff members work on that for me, and you'll notice that you might say, well, we have 18 million in property tax, but we only have 14 million in general fund. Well, that's because that money can go into Fund 1 and it goes into Fund 320. And so you'll see that if you take Fund 1 and Fund 320, which is what we're required to do, that those month to date actually do equal $18 million. And so just know that between Fund 1 and Fund 320, which is our building fund, that is where that is. And that's just general accounting that we have to do. And then also if you want to see like who paid what or when we received money, like I put that on there from up until November 30th. And we have received some since then, but those would not be accounted for until the next board meeting. So just know that we are doing our absolute best to collect, and we are also doing our absolute best to report on our taxes. And so this is just our general fund reports that we're also looking at. Fund 2, revenue versus expenditures. You can see that some of these things are in the negative for the year. That's because we haven't received, especially Fund 2, which is our special revenue, our federal programs. Those are on a reimbursement, so those will probably be in a negative for a while overall. And some accounts you'll see are spending less and some are spending more. And so we're actively looking at why are you spending more than you're taking in. Sometimes it's not just a revenue account that they're just going to spend more that month than what they received. And that's the way it works. So this is our district activity funds. You can see that this one is one that took in less than they spent. And then our school activity funds took in more than they spent. And both of those accounts are based off of student fee collections and field trips and other activity accounts. And then our building fund is there. This one is where you'll see that $4 million from the tax money. That is where the building fund 320 is there. I left out like the 310 and the other ones. They don't have any activity, but they're in the report for you to review. I just didn't feel like it was worth me messing up a zero here or there trying to say it. You got $1 left. Food service. So food service is in the negative for the whole as a year, but that's because we haven't received our reimbursements for our free reduced students or our CEP. So do know that looks like there's a huge problem. But if you look at the line item for revenue, in that there is $0 received for reimbursable lunch, breakfast, and that just hasn't been reimbursed yet. So do know that.
Do you know when we get those reimbursements? Is that like the same every year, or is it just?
It just comes whenever.
Okay.
You know, there is a certain time that it comes. It's just, it's.
That's fine.
You know.
No worries.
This is being live streamed. So the last thing is our ETC fund. You'll see that they are also spending more than they're receiving. Dr. Jones and I have a meeting with the ETC coordinator and Ms. Johnson to review some things and to figure out some things. They still have a large reserve in their pot that is carrying them forward, but we want to make sure that we're correcting any future so that we aren't continuously living in our savings account for that program. So that is the monthly financial report. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything?
I love this format that you're providing to us, taking the detail and putting it in the different way for us to view it and understand it easier. So thank you for doing that. I know that's a lot of work too.
I mean, you're welcome to read the 61 pages.
Nope.
It's a lot to try and understand and trying to figure out. But, like have followed Mr. Smith many times as he's trying to figure out, as he was doing his presentation, and just like, there's no way that I could keep track of which spot I'm talking about. So like this for me was easier to do. I just do want to say, like, we are, like, again, reiterate, we are actively working on reducing this year, because we can't wait until next year. Next year's going to hurt, but we can't wait until next year to take the time to do it now.
I'm so happy that you all are doing that. Like, I just think that I hope that people are listening at home too, that this is active and this is happening now and being proactive. That's huge. That is huge. I know it's not easy.
Dr. Rayburn? Oh, no, that's okay. I just had one question. It was near the beginning of the presentation where we were looking at revenues, and you had a snapshot of, maybe it was this one right here. So this last fiscal year, this same period, we generated almost $21 million, and now we're at $15.6 million to date. Do we know why those revenues are
Some have been delayed.
delayed?
So like we have another $2 million that we received in December. So they just received them earlier last year than what we received this year. But we do have, when I was looking at the reports and stuff, we had another 1.9, or maybe it's 1.19, I can't remember, million that we received from the last week. So we are still receiving taxes. So. And it's all based on when people pay their taxes too. Like some people pay them in October. Some people do it through their monthly mortgage payment and they pay them in November. Some people wait till the very end, and some people don't. So it just depends on when that's going through.
When does the barrel tax funds come in?
That's a great question. I'll get back to you on that one.
I'll
have to look at last year to see when the distilled tax comes in. One of the ones that that was a pilot program where they don't have to pay us the taxes, but they'll give us money in lieu of, didn't have enough barrel tax to pay for us. Luckily, we didn't budget it for it, so because we didn't receive it last year either. But that was one of the newer ones. So, but I'll get back to you when that's normally received.
I just didn't know if it was normally, like, if that contributed to the difference in the numbers. So
it's not the tune of that much money. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? All right. We have a motion. So all those in favor of approving November financial report, treasurer's report?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the 2026 board meeting dates?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second?
second by Ms. McCowan. Any discussion, questions on that? Everybody should have received the paper copy as well. All right, no discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Can I have a motion to approve the second reading of the drug testing policy?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. And did we have any discussion or questions for Dr. Rayburn on that? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So next is our, the advanced coursework that we already talked about, had some discussion. So can I have a motion to approve the second reading of WCPS Advanced Coursework and Accelerated Learning Plan with, trying to remember how we worded this earlier.
Contingent upon
Added
language
language
being presented in
to
January.
be presented in January's regular meeting.
So moved.
All right, motion by Mr. Wilson. I will second that. Any further discussion on that?
I just want to just explain. I'm probably going to vote nay just because I'm more comfortable if I see what I'm voting on, and since we don't really know what we're voting on, that'll just be why I'm voting nay.
Okay, sure. All right. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. We have a discussion item for Mr. Wells on the 2026-2027 school calendar year.
All right, good evening. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Wilson for his words earlier.
thank
Really
you.
appreciate that. It really is a group effort, as he alluded to, a diverse group, a lot of different opinions. but at the end of the day, we came up with what we feel like were good recommendations. So having said all that, I know where I'm at on the agenda, so I'm going to cut to the chase. You have 2 calendar recommendations. Number 1 is the recommended calendar from the committee. That's the calendar that we believe or we would recommend that you approve. By law, we have to provide more than 1 calendar, so we gave you a second option. The only difference in option 1 and option 2 are the fall break dates. Option 1, fall break would be the first full week in October. We surveyed parents, we did a separate survey with employees and a separate one with students. All 3 groups unanimously preferred that first full week in October. But we have to give you a second calendar, and so that would be the other option, would just be a week earlier. We'd be starting on the second Thursday, as we historically have, and then happy to answer any questions anyone may have on the calendar or the recommendations.
Doesn't look like it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your work on it.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely. So
Motion
moved.
by Mr. Wilson,
Second.
second by Ms. McCowan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Good night, everybody.